pulling out businesses.
Yeah.
They're thinking about go ahead, getting rid of their businesses. This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to open up our Rules and Procedures Committee meeting at 6:31 p.m. In attendance is Councilor McBride, Councilor Pacino, and myself, Council Chair Parker. Can I get an approval, motion for the minutes?
Councilor McBride will make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting minutes, May 10th, 2023.
Second, Pacino.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That motion carries. So this evening, we're going to go on to new business and discussing of the referrals. The first referral is 2024-207, which is streamlined rules for efficiency. And this is Councilor McBride's referral, but I think he meant, and please tell me if I'm wrong, that you want to streamline the council and the CAL meetings to be more efficient. So it's not a streamlining of the rules, it's the streamlining of our meetings.
That's correct. Yes, you are right.
Okay. Do you want to speak on it, sir?
Yeah, certainly. I guess what I'm thinking is, just my personal thoughts, is that our meetings tend to go long for numerous reasons. But one of the things I found, and I've reviewed other municipalities' meetings and minutes and so forth, and what I've found is that a lot of other municipalities are much more efficient in that, mainly due to the consent agenda. And I believe I mentioned this to John Burton. I can't speak for him, but I thought he may have said where he came from, they did it a different way as well. Like, I'm not positive, but I thought so. And what I mean by that is the way our agenda is set up is every single item that the administration puts forward to the council is reviewed in detail. And my question would be, is there a way to minimize that? Because sometimes in my experience, what I found is if the administration puts forward a pack of information with all the details, with all the questions answered prior to the council agenda being prepared, some of that stuff would just be passed on consent agenda. You know, some of the things, and I don't want to say it's simple, but you know, if let's say there's a grant item that has all the detail, it's not costing the taxpayers money. You know, it's not that it should just be not looked at, but you know, is there a way that some things can be passed without spending time and just getting questions and answers, when sometimes it can be done before? I mean, the perfect world, the agenda comes out, a counselor could call John Burt, get some questions answered, find out some details that aren't in the package. But I think even more so, if we could persuade and make sure Town Manager Burt, and he does a great job, and the staff do a great job of making sure all the information is in the package, it could alleviate the council from pulling or pulling things that are relative and important to the town versus reviewing every single thing in its entirety. So that's where this came from, is I think there could be some opportunity for savings. And I'm not to say don't pull anything on the agenda when the agenda comes out, don't pull it, everything go forward. But if there's items that there aren't questions on because it's answered already in the package, I think we could streamline a little bit and save some time to spend more quality time on the things that are needed. You know, there's a lot of important subject matters that we need to dive into and spend an hour and 2 hours. And I think by doing, you know, by saving some time on some other more routine things where all the answers are in the package and there's no real questions, it could alleviate some time. So that's kind of a broad base what my thought was.
And I agree that if we've already discussed this in full detail under the committee of the whole meeting with all the attached information, unless we have something further, we can always suspend the rules to pull that item out to discuss it. So we can still put it under consent agenda. We can still put it under, let me ask this. Does everyone have their rules in front of them? Okay. So under the rule under the order of business and agenda, so it'll be rule number 7, page 3 of our rules packet. We can put it under the consent agenda. So it's a matter of verbiage that if items discussed have majority vote or majority of consensus, that they be voted upon at the under the consent calendar. So we could say, I don't know. That's why we have a discussion to figure out verbiage and how we want to do this. Is that what we're thinking of?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to do it. Not an expert at the rules, so I'm not sure.
You have different, it's really kind of wide open. If you feel, for instance, where I came from, it was just if you felt like all the questions have been answered, we would put it on the consent calendar. You could say anything that passes unanimously goes on there. You could just say all grants go on there automatically. It's kind of whatever you think.
That's why I was thinking more of and let me add that town manager Mr. Burt is on the line with us for this meeting. So my thought is that anything we pass under COW to move forward be under the consent calendar.
So you're
So-
referring specifically to just the council meetings, correct?
The committee of the whole meetings, when we decide, we all have we have discussion. We either say nay or yay or abstain. If we have majority that rules on moving it, majority that votes for it with amendments at anything else, we put it automatically under the consent calendar for the town council meeting. So unless we say the items discussed, Mr. Burt, how do I want to forward this? Did I
Now,
say it?
no, yeah.
Items reviewed and approved at the committee of the whole meeting with majority vote can be added to the consent calendar and approved at that time.
Right.
Okay, now I got to remember what I just said.
And
Items
then,
re-
and then you continue to allow what would be the process to remove? Any counselor asked it for, to be removed, or do you have a vote? The majority, would remove the item.
But I think that's already in there. You have to suspend the rules.
To move it to the new business.
Yes. Would that work for you?
Yeah. Town manager Burt, would you just mind repeating? I was printing something. I didn't hear exactly what you had said.
What I was saying was, I was asking what the process would be to remove an item if somebody wanted it discussed. And Chairwoman Parker said that basically it's covered by rules already, that you would have to suspend the rules to move it to the new business. So you'd have a vote on suspension to move it out of the consent calendar.
So just so I'm understanding correctly, anything from the cow that was approved is going to go into section 6 of the consent agenda. And it therefore would have to be, I call it pulled, but I guess it's a different terminology, to have it moved from consent agenda to be discussed. Is that correct?
Correct. But it has to have it. We would have to suspend the rules for it. And I believe
And
me
where
double
is, why would we need to do that? Just because I know that that always creates havoc
know
with
it-
people.
Only because if there's something that pops up that we may have to change verbiage or maybe a dollar amount. What else can happen, Mr. Burt?
Say that again, please.
I said if there was an error on the verbiage or dollar amount or additional information has to be added. But most of the time we're not changing much.
Right. Very rare do you change a resolution.
Mr. Pacino, Council Pacino, I apologize. Any thoughts?
I'm thinking as long as it's something that we haven't discussed on that topic. I'm thinking a motion and a second to suspend the rules could work, but if it's not something we've already talked about and we just want to open it up to rehash it, I don't think we need to do that.
Okay.
We've already discussed it.
Just
All
a
right.
question for clarification on the rules under Rule 7.7 is consent agenda. Would it make any sense to put E, you know, I don't know the terminology, but committee of the whole approved matters?
And you mean Rule 7, number 6, you make it a D section and call it committee. Say that again, committee?
Maybe I'm, Rule 7 under A, there's 7, Rule 7 under letter A, then there's Roman numeral 7 is consent to calendar. And there's
No,
numerous
that's
items
6.
in there. I'm sorry?
It's 6.
Rule 7, item 6, adding a D.
Yes.
Okay, I must have an old rules here, but I guess that's what you're looking to do is add it in that particular area, which means call it what you want, but committee of the whole approved matters would pass on consent automatically unless 2/3 vote of the councilors would vote to discuss it. Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay. No, I like the way that sounds.
And then just to clarify, if something like, let's say, come out of public safety, since it hasn't been given the opportunity for everyone to discuss, that would just be on the new agenda.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
So if, just to clarify, so let's say public's, just like that fire district policy, it comes out of a committee and doesn't go to COW. It would be under new business since not everyone has had a chance to ask their questions, correct?
Correct. Just the items that came out of committee of the whole.
Right.
So
I
I would
like
say
it.
committee of the whole agenda items or discussed items. I'm sorry, Council McBride.
Committee of the whole approved items.
Approved, yeah, approved items.
Okay, approved items. So do I still need to add the verbiage items reviewed and approved at the committee of the whole with majority votes? Is that what I
Well,
said?
I think approved would cover all that, just any approved items out of the COW.
We just pass on consent unless 2/3 of the vote of the councilors wanted to redigest and rediscuss it, I guess.
All right.
I really like that.
I like it too. All right. So all I need to do is put in, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Burt, is under Rule 7, Section A, number 6, consent calendar, add Section D, committee of the whole approved items.
Well, one thought is, we don't actually do C anymore. That was under the old system. We quit doing that 6 years. We quit doing that 6 years ago, when we got Provox, because it used to be part of the system. You had to do that to get the system, to go through the system to get it to drop out. You had to take
I
an
know.
official action.
But of course, we can't discuss that one because it's not on the agenda. I have no new items on there. what was my little, my.
That's fine.
packet
We'll
stuff?
we can, that can be, it's gone on for 6 years. It can be cleared up in the future at some point. It's not a rush.
Okay, so I'm gonna circle that for later on.
Just another
So,
question, are there any other areas, because I would like to have more on the consent agenda of things that are
Well,
not, not really, not that important. I shouldn't say not important, but you know what I'm trying to say, if there's anything that the council doesn't, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Town Manager? What are the other things that could go into there for discussion?
well, now that I'm thinking about that, I mean, we're just generically talking about ways to streamline and, that I think you could probably swap the Cs, I don't think you'd have to, I think it would fit under the agenda item.
Under help streamline?
Yeah. Or we could, at the council, you could always make a motion or, change it on the fly there too. Or we could wait, any which way. Really
Oh.
consent calendars seem to be the way though to streamline things. That's pretty, kind of universal. I don't know what else you would do to necessarily streamline, that would do a lot if you could just get some of them moving that way faster.
I actually like that better. Only, and these are only from the committee of the whole meetings, though. This is not from the committees.
Right. It was specific to say committee of the whole approved items.
And I think that's important because like last night we had personal and appointments where some, counselors can't participate in that. So it makes sense to have committee of the whole.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that still that gets put on the agenda.
Yep.
So, yeah, and that was what technically rules is the same way. So, all right, so we'll add a section D until we have a discussion about section C, line item C, I should say, at another date, because I know there's going to probably be some others. And are we all okay with this one?
Yes. Do you need a motion or anything?
I do.
Okay. Councilor McBride will make a motion to add the agenda item as you discussed, adding C, committee of the whole approved items into section 7 of the rules of procedure.
Second, Pacino.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, no abstentions, and one item done. Okay, on to number 2.
And just to back up, we just want to make sure we're covering everything, because I think it's, some people may say on that we didn't allow the community to voice their concerns on that subject matter. But if we're doing this after receipt of citizens' comments, the council could decide based on citizens' comments if they want to pull it. So you're still allowing to make changes if comment comes up that we may want to consider changing it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So let me pull out rules and the charter. Just as a reminder, please give me my charter. No. So the next line item, agenda item is a referral from Counselor Bordelon requesting that we make sure that no, that's yours. Let me read her email. She wants a rule that is similar to RTM that requires all members to be part of at least one of the standing committees. And she would like us to draft something similar. And thoughts.
I'll start if you want, Councilor McBride. I can see her point on this because, you know, when we just were elected recently and the committee people were put forth, her and I weren't put on any committees, and it kind of felt, I don't want to say a slap in the face, but it kind of felt bizarre that we weren't being involved in committees, and it just, you know, I think you know, we're all elected individually, but you know, we're elected as a whole, but you know, we're all elected by the population, and I think the population, residents want to have us serve in various capacities. So I think diversity of allowing every counselor to participate in some way, shape, or form is what I think the residents would want versus, you know, have kind of singling people out from not participating. I'll take it a step further. I personally think we should have a few more committees. I think economic development.
No, that's a no. That's a no. We have enough.
I know
No,
we can't vote on it,
No.
but you can get a lot more work done with committees, in my opinion. But in any event,
there's only, yes, but then you're splitting everybody up. You're either having them do 2 or 3 committees, and that's not efficient. We
Oh,
have
and
4. Go ahead, Mr. Burt.
there used to be committees, you know, more of them in the past, and they were abandoned because people didn't just basically redid everything at the cow. You have
Yeah.
to trust your committees. Plus, just it was very onerous on staff time to have to staff all more committees, and you end up just completely redoing the work at the cow anyways.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that. Thank you. But I think that was her point in summary is why wouldn't, you know, why would we not allow, and take the people and the personalities out of it. Think of this as, you know, 9 other people. I mean, why wouldn't we want 9 individuals who are elected by the residents to be able to put their thoughts into committees? So especially now that we're looking to do a lot of the work in the committees and have the committees pass things, and then it would go to the council. I just think it makes sense. I don't see why, how it could hurt in any way.
And I'm going to disagree to a point. We have 4 standing committees. There are also liaisons and other boards that are up for grabs. The committees are appointed by the chairperson, the 4 standing committees. The other committees are open to all counselors.
Just a point of clarification. When you say 4, I only think of 3.
Well, 3, technically committee of the whole is all of us together. So that one's not really a standing committee.
Right. Okay.
But the other 3 are the 3 people on. And you use the people that best fit to get the work done. There's other committees, other liaison committees, other boards that everyone can be on. That they do not always have to be on a standing committee.
I think that once we voted on the mayor and knew who the mayor was going to be, I think every councilor had the opportunity to make their wishes known. And I, for one, contacted the mayor, told the mayor, these are the things I would like to do. And most people have done that. The other thing is, we all have day jobs. Some of us just don't have the time to be on many committees. And if you don't choose one, then the mayor shouldn't be obligated to put you on something that you might not have time to do. I think that the onus on making sure you're on a committee should be on the council member to make their wishes known. We had 6 council members and 3 new people, and just actually 7 council members and 3 new people, to let the mayor know what they wanted. I think the onus should be on the council members, not necessarily a something in the rules.
No, I can respect that point, and I'm under the assumption, I don't know what the interaction was with the counselor who was not put on a committee. I know what I did is I put forth my name in the positions I was interested in to the mayor. So I think your point is valid. It really makes a lot of sense if a particular counselor does not have the time or the devotion or doesn't have an interest in being on a committee, then I think your point's valid. I guess what I'm assuming, and may not be correct, is that if a counselor does put their name forth and express interest in something, I think it makes sense for them to be on a committee is where I'm finding it, where I'm struggling.
Absolutely.
That's kind of my point.
Absolutely. But I would think, like I mentioned before, I think the onus should be on the counselor or counselor-elect, however that it works, to let the mayor know what they desire. Because the mayor shouldn't be necessarily have to pull things out of a hat. There's only 8 of us that need to talk to the mayor and tell her or him what we desire. It's not that hard.
No, I guess I can see both sides of the discussion, and it appears that the two of you are not in favor of something that I think should occur, but I understand your points and appreciate your feedback for sure.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I guess it makes sense, Councilor Pacino, what you said. If the person isn't expressing their interest, then the mayor shouldn't have to force someone to be on a committee, is what this rule, if enacted, would cause, which would defeat the purpose of having engaged counselors. I think what I'm hoping occurs in the future is there's more transparency on making sure counselors, if they are interested in positions, express that maybe even publicly, so people are aware. So there's not as much questions in the public on how certain counselors are not being on committees. I think that's the issue I have, is there was perception, rightly or wrong, that the mayor didn't pick 2 counselors, and residents didn't know if the mayor didn't pick them because she didn't want to, or, as you're suggesting, residents may think that I didn't put forth any interest, and that therefore I was not selected. And I think that's not fair to residents either, to just, they can assume one or two things, right? They can assume McBride didn't have any interest in being on a committee, he's lazy, he's not want to do his job, which I don't think is fair. So I think maybe just more transparency in that process would be good going forward. But I understand your points.
So as Mayor Franco and I are the longest running right now, a lot of people didn't step up to do things. It was offered from different mayors. You put forth your ideas, as Councilor Pacino said, and if there's no response and there's engagement and the other person doesn't respond, then you have to move forward. We still have to be about the business. So I see all the points, but I don't think we should put a rule in, because it would lock people, and then people are not going to do it. There will be the same person or same people doing the same thing over and over again, because people won't want to step up, and that's not what this is about.
No, I see your point. I respect that you have, I'm relatively new, so I respect that. I really didn't see that side of the equation on if the mayor were to pick people who didn't have the desire or time, it could impact the committee's role. So I appreciate that.
So I'm going to make a motion not to move ahead on making a rule at this time.
That's second, Pacino.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
McBride will abstain for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Okay. And that motion passes. And just so that everyone knows, that once we make a decision on it, unless the council votes on it, it does have to have a certain number of votes to do it. But once we turn it down, it's got to wait, either it has to get the votes to be put on back to us, or it has to wait a year. So if we, just to give everyone, because they could turn it down and ask us to rework it, if everybody's interested, just to give everyone a heads up. So
Understood.
that is all for our new business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
McBride will second the motion.
And we are done at 7:02 p.m. Thank you, guys.
Outstanding.
Great, thanks.
Thank